Okay, I know I've already done this video before, but that one is bad, so we're doing it again. We'll also only be covering monsters that can either kill you or lead to you dying, so monsters like Window and Timothy won't make an appearance. And if I forgot one, don't forget to leave a long, angry comment. Onto the video! Starting off with one of the most common entities, we have Rush. You'll be warned of Rush's presence when the lights flicker either immediately or a few seconds after you open a door. After a few seconds, Rush will, fittingly, start rushing through the halls. Anyone who is not in a closet, under a bed, or out of sight will be instantly killed. However, in the last 9 or so rooms called the greenhouse, there are no lights that can flicker, so you have to rely on the sound of Rush's awful scream to tell when he is approaching. Rush would also take longer to appear the more players there are. He also has a rare counterpart called Ambush has a small chance to replace Rush, and works so similar and yet so different. First of all, there is no light flicker. Instead, just Ambush's scream. Once you hear this scream, you're given a few seconds to hide before Ambush comes bounding through the halls. He moves much faster than Rush. He also moves through walls, which makes it very confusing. Once he reaches a closed door, he goes back the way he came. And comes back. He can do this up to 6 times. Once he leaves, you'll have to get out of the closet and back in when you hear him coming back. You have to do this because of... Hide is a simple entity. If you stay in a closet or under a bed for too long, your screen will start to fill with static, weird black tentacles will appear on the side of your screen, and the message, "Get out," will flash on your screen, before you're kicked out, taking a good amount of damage and made unable to hide again for a while. Hide and Ambush work really well together this way. However, there is another entity that lurks in closets, and it's not a YouTuber trying to record a video. Jack has a 1 in 20 chance to spawn when you open a closet. He screams at you and closes the closet. This lasts around 1.5 seconds and prevents you from entering the closet. This can be really dangerous because chances are, if you're trying to get in the closet, then you are trying to hide from a dangerous entity, like Rush. Best to not wait until the last second to get in a closet, just in case. I don't have a cool segue into the next one. Ice has a random chance to spawn in whenever you open a door, being much more common in the greenhouse. Once it spawns in, you'll have a few seconds to look away before looking at it will result in you taking 10 damage per tick you're looking at this thing. Eyes will despawn once you open the door to the next room. Speaking of staring, Screech is also a common entity and will spawn in dark rooms. Whilst roaming around these rooms, if you hear a psst, that is your cue to look around frantically to find the deformed octopus and stare at it. Failure to do so will result in Screech biting you and dealing 30 damage. If you do manage to stare at Screech, it will scream at you, tell you to do your taxes, and disappear. Using a light source in dark rooms greatly decreases the chance of Screech spawning. I once again don't have a transition. You'll be indicated that Halt is coming when the lights in a room flicker for an abnormally long time. Then, once the door to the next room is opened, you'll be transported to a long, dimly lit corridor, with Halt slowly approaching you from behind. After walking forward for a few seconds, Halt will teleport in front of you and you'll have to turn around and go the other way. But, between you and me, just start walking backwards once you're prompted to turn around. It's easier. This repeats until you get to the end of the corridor. Speaking of being chased down corridors... My god, that was a terrible transition. Seek is a sort of mini-boss. You'll be alerted to its presence when eyes start appearing on the walls. Rush, Ambush, and probably a few others can't spawn in these rooms. After opening a few doors, you will enter a long hallway. Ooh, spooky. Once you reach the end, Seek will appear at the other end of the hallway, and the chase will begin. You will have to duck under bookshelves, frantically pick the correct door, do the hokey pokey, and even dodge massive hands and literal fire. Then you slam the door on Seek like you do a scout trying to sell you cookies, and finally get some peace and quiet. Ideally, very quiet. Figure is the main antagonist of this floor and makes 2 appearances. One at door 50 and the other at door 100. It's a blind monster and relies on its exceptional hearing and echolocation to find players. Your first encounter with it will be at the library, where you must collect books and a piece of paper to get the code to a lock whilst avoiding the figure. I'm not even going to explain this puzzle because last time I did, I failed miserably. Figure it out yourself. I'm not here to do everything for you. The last encounter is in some sort of electrical room. The figure chases you into an area with a few corridors. You have to find the switches to the power grid thing. Once you do that, you find the keys to the electrical room, open it up, casually set the figure on fire, do a puzzle, get chased up the elevator, and escape. Easier said than done. Hey, that's all the entities! I hope you... Oh, for God's sake. While this may seem like an entirely new floor, this is actually a recreation of the game that inspired the creation of Doors, the rooms. This place has 1,000 rooms and Thankfully for me, only 3 entities. A60 will start to appear commonly at room 60, but can rarely appear beforehand. It functions like Rush, except the lights don't flicker. Instead, the faint sound of rumbling can be heard in the distance, quickly getting louder, like when you're trying to hold in a fart in class. You must hide in one of the lockers before A60 reaches you, or else your Wikipedia page is going to say was. A90 starts to appear at room 90, but can rarely appear beforehand. It looks like an incredibly sad face, even more sad than you when you drop your lunch. Its face will appear on your screen for around half a second, and in that time you have to completely stop moving. You can't even move your camera. If you do, A90 will attack and deal an incredible amount of damage. This pairs well with A60 and... Bet you didn't think I'd do another transition, huh? A120, you guessed it, starts appearing at room 120, but can rarely appear beforehand, yada yada yada, we've done all this before. Once you open the door, you will hear a strange sound. The door to the next room won't work, and neither will the lockers. You will have to hide inside a locker in the previous room in order to hide from this entity, which looks like it was drawn by a 5-year-old. Like Ambush, it will come back a few times, but there doesn't seem to be any pressure on you to get out, so just stay in there until you think it's gone. We're finally done! I'm free! I can see my family again! I hope you found this helpful and have an amazing day. Goodbye.